Hello, I'm Marissa. I am the social media director here at Eat This Not That, and we are about to go live with a member of our medical expert board, Amy Goodson. Amy is a registered dietitian and certified specialist in sports dietetics. She focuses on overall health, wellness, and sports nutrition. She's worked with the Dallas Cowboys, Texas Rangers, and other professional athletes and more. And today she will be teaching us how to spring clean our diets and giving her 2 cents on a list of popular diets and cleanses that our followers like you submitted, letting us know you wanted to know more about them this spring.
Hello, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy spring. We made it.
Happy spring. How exciting. It always feels like a long winter, but it especially did this time around.
It's great. I'm glad.
So wonderful to you. For anyone just tuning in, this is Amy Goodson. She is a member of our medical expert board here. We're going to be talking all about spring cleaning our diets today. So before we jump into the list of cleanses and diets that I want to know more about, would you please just take a moment to share your overall thoughts on our diets and these trending diets and cleanses?
Yes.
Especially interested in with the warmer.
Yes. So this time of year, it's getting warmer. People are moving from sweatpants to shorts. When it comes to spring cleaning your diet, people are looking to get in bathing suits. And there is this misconception that people think that you have to do some crazy cleanse or some crazy diet to get back on track. And I, as a registered dietitian, I'm here to tell you, cleanses are a marketing ploy. You have these two fantastic organs called your liver and your kidneys. And they do a wonderful job of cleansing your body every day of the toxins that we breathe in, take in, or whatnot. If they did not do a good job, we would all be in a very bad situation. So this concept that you have to go on this crazy cleanse is really a marketing ploy. And the reality is they're not really that healthy for you because oftentimes you're restricting massive amounts of calories, taking out food groups, especially some of the liquid cleanses, which means you're not getting the vitamins, the minerals, and all the different things. Now, people that go, oh, I just need to do a jump start for 2 days. I'm like, is it probably going to kill you? No, but it's something that should not be sustained long-term. Same with some of the diets that we're talking about. Many times people go on these trendy diets thinking that they're going to help them reach their goals. And while they might help them reach their goals in the moment, they typically don't help them stick to those goals long term because many of these trendy diets just aren't sustainable. And so when we talk about spring cleaning your diet the right way and what you can do or should be doing, we want to make sure that we're teaching people, how to consume the right foods. And I know people will be jumping on and off. I have a free handout on my website right now, the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. That's the top 5 green foods to add to your eating plan. And it's not just spinach. There's other foods that taste good. So you don't have to be restrictive. I have a recipe for each of the 5 foods because there are ways that you can healthfully eat the foods that you like and still be on track. So the sportsnutritionplaybook.com, download the free handout on how to spring clean your diet. So let's get going talking about some of these diets.
Yes. If you just tuned in, we gathered a list from our followers of popular diets and cleanses that we're about. So we're going to jump in and go through those now. The first has been popular for a long time, always a submission for us, is the keto diet.
Yes. So I'm going to preface all the diets that we're going to talk about. Here's something you need to know about diets. When a diet takes out an entire food group or multiple food groups, one of the things you have to consider is what nutrients does that food group typically provide, and am I getting them somewhere else? Because many of these diets take out whole food groups, and so that means you're taking out some version of a nutrient or something that you need. So just keep that in mind as we're talking about these. So keto diet, most of you should know all about it, but it's a high-fat, moderate protein, very low to no carbs. Some people think it's a high protein diet. It's actually not. It's a high fat diet. And so one of the biggest challenges with the keto diet is that it takes out almost all sources of fiber in the diet. So you can still eat some non-starchy vegetables, but because it takes out all whole grains, starchy vegetables, fruit, we really like it decreases your fiber intake. Fiber is really important both for heart health and for gut health. The recommendation is 25 to 38 grams a day. We already know that Americans only get 10 to 13 grams, which isn't near even half what we recommend. So when you go keto diet, you're taking out even more. The other thing I would caution people is that on the keto diet, many times people don't look at the quality of the fat that they consume. So they end up consuming lots of saturated fats from maybe that's a creamy sauce or bacon or butter or all those different things. And so they're actually consuming more of those saturated fats, which have heart health implications when you consume them long term. Plus, many of those foods are high in salt. So balancing it out, the other thing people typically experience is low energy, because you take out carbs, one of your main sources of energy, you can be fatigued. But my bigger concern is, what nutrients are we taking out? So even if you're looking to lose weight, doing maybe a modified approach that might still include some carbohydrate. Many people know I'm a sports dietitian. So especially if you're going to be exercising, we want to make sure that you're fueling your body and then helping yourself recover. So maybe even positioning some carbohydrate around your exercise or training would be helpful if you are evaluating that diet.
Okay, perfect. Next, the Mediterranean diet.
Thumbs up on the Mediterranean diet, because while it's called the Mediterranean diet, it's really an eating pattern, and it doesn't take out anything. Like, it recommends lower intakes of like high fat meats and lower intakes of obviously processed foods, added sugars. But the Mediterranean diet really focuses on those healthy fats. So the fats that you'll find in fatty fish like salmon, trout, and tuna, all of your nuts and seeds and nut butters and avocado, and cooking with healthy oils like olive oil specifically. It recommends a lot of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, low fat dairy. So it's really an all-encompassing eating plan. For those of you that like red wine, it'll allow you to have some of it as well, and a little bit of dark chocolate. So like I said at the beginning, we got to live a little. So the Mediterranean diet or eating pattern is like thumbs up. Usually it and the DASH diet, which we're going to talk about, I would say for the last 5-ish years, ranked as the top 2 diets each year in January. So as we come into the next year, every year, those 2 diets rank the highest. Let me tell you why. They're not restrictive, and they're a sustainable eating pattern. You can include the foods that you like. And I would tell you that that's one of the key things. Restriction works initially, but then usually when people restrict, they rebound or bend the other direction. And so restriction often sets people up to actually go backwards. And so while it seems like a good plan, they go the other way. And so a Mediterranean diet is going to be one that could be sustained long term. And that's going to include all the food groups, protein and fruits and vegetables and fiber and all the nutrients that we want to get. So I'm giving the Mediterranean diet a definite thumbs up.
Fantastic. Now jumping over to more of a fast, someone said liquid fast, and they specified only water, coffee.
Yes. So water, coffee, and tea don't provide a super whole lot of nutrients or calories. Like, now, do tea and coffee provide plant compounds and antioxidants? They do. And you'll actually, in the handout that I have, my green foods, I have a beverage on there. So you're going to have sports nutrition, the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. I have a beverage on there. But when we talk about tea, when we talk about coffee, they have plant compounds. The deal is, though, your body requires calories, nutrition, nutrients in order to be sustained. And so, many times people will start on these liquid cleanses, and even if they stay on them, they usually feel bad. Number 2, you start losing weight. Yeah, you are not losing fat. You're losing water weight. And many times on the restrictive, whether it's a super low calorie diet or like one of these liquid cleanses, especially if consumed long term, you'll actually start to lose muscle mass. And that has a lot of negative consequences on just obviously like muscle mass content, metabolism, all of the different things, core stability, etc. So really restrictive caloric diets that don't provide you enough nutrition or enough protein long term can result in muscle mass. Or a loss of muscle mass. So the liquid cleanses, I'm like, gotta go. What are they doing? I mean, if you're going to do one for a day, but here's the problem. when you don't consume any nutrition, your blood sugar will drop. And your blood sugar dropping is bad because that means your energy level drops. And when your blood sugar gets too low, you can experience consequences like low energy, dizziness, fatigue, headache, shakiness. And if you were like going to the gym or even like driving a car and you really started feeling dizzy, that can have really negative side effects. And that's not to be dramatic, but if you haven't eaten anything, your body's having to work in a state that it's not normally used to working in. Have you ever run, like been driving and your car's like 5 miles of gas left, 4 miles, 3 miles, and you're like, oh boy. Same thing with your body. Like it has to have gas or fuel to go. So I am going to say negative Ghost Rider on all the cleanses because they just don't do anything. They're not actually scientifically doing anything for your body like people think that they are. They're just going to make you feel bad, not get enough nutrients. So
Yeah, that makes total sense. Next one. So a little more than the water, but
yes. The smoothie cleanses. So the smoothie, yes, that's what you said, the smoothie and
but we can lump those out.
Let's put them together because I'm going to kind of compare and contrast juice cleanses. So juice, all right. So juice can be good for you, right? If it's made from 100% fruit, it can be good for you. However, fruit is a sugar, so juice is a sugar. And when you juice something, you remove the fiber. If I eat an apple, I'm going to get like 4 or 5 grams of fiber because I'm eating the actual skin. If I eat berries, if I eat whatever fruit that it is, if I squeeze the juice out, I don't get that fiber. Now, if you puree the fruit in, different story, which kind of leans a little more smoothies. But even though it's very nutrient-rich juice, it's juice that's sugar. And what happens when you eat carbohydrate or sugar by itself is your blood sugar goes up and comes back down again. Goes up and comes back down. The higher it goes up, the quicker the drop, especially when you don't have protein present. So people think that these juice cleanses are really great when really their blood sugar is like literally riding a roller coaster. And when it goes down, you need it to go back up again. And that can actually make people crave sugar. That's what I was saying about just the general liquid cleanses as well. Long term, no bueno, no good because of not getting enough protein in. And so that, the protein carbohydrate connection or the combination of those is what stabilizes your blood sugar. So juice cleanses can set you up to just crave sugar and then you consume more juice and you just set yourself up to do the same cycle again. So that's one of the challenges with juice cleanses. Let's swing it over to a smoothie cleanse. So if you are smoothie cleansing, kind of depends on what you're putting in your smoothie, right? So let's say you do what I just said and now you're blending or pureeing the fruit and you added like milk and Greek yogurt and spinach. Well, hold tight. Now I have multiple food groups going on there. I have fruits, I have vegetable, I have dairy, I have protein. And so a smoothie can actually be a very complete meal if you look at it from a nutrient standpoint. But again, Siri is talking to me on my computer. So Siri is excited about it. But so from the perspective of thinking through, like, what am I putting in my smoothie? So think about if you put oats, nut butter, fruit, Greek yogurt, and even some spinach. Well, I literally put every food group in there. So you can actually do a good job if you are being strategic with what you're putting in your smoothies. However, the one thing I always remind people is that your little stomach does not know where the food came from. So if it sees grams of carbohydrate, grams of protein, grams of, whatever, amino acids, all the different things. I always joke with people, there's not a bodyguard at the entrance of your stomach. Carbohydrate came from bagel, go that way. You came from quinoa, go this way. Granted, there's additional nutrients and fiber associated with those foods, but relatively speaking, if you consume 400 or 500 calories from a smoothie or 400 or 500 calories from a food, your body doesn't recognize, you smoothie cleanse, go over there. So 400 or 500 calories. So what's interesting is sometimes people can really get a little out of control with the smoothies and they're consuming smoothies that are 700 or 800 calories, which might be more than what you would actually eat. So if you're going to do smoothies for meals, that's fine. It'll help you hydrate, but just note that it's not really different than eating food depending on what you're actually putting in your smoothie. And for many people, drinking their calories versus eating them doesn't make them feel as full. Like me, unless I'm drinking a milkshake, you better believe I'm never even touching a smoothie. It just doesn't make me feel very full. And so I don't stay satisfied as long. So that's different for different people, but just something to consider as well.
You mentioned it before, but circling back to the DASH diet.
So the DASH diet, for those of you that don't know what that even stands for, it stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. Hypertension is high blood pressure. So this was a diet that came out back in like the 60s, 70s, 70s, I think, based on the Framingham study that was looking for a variety of ways to lower blood pressure. And it evaluated a few different types of looking at nutrients, like reducing sodium intake, as well as increasing potassium and increasing calcium. And so the DASH diet is basically centered around a very low fat, high fiber, moderate protein diet. So it recommends like 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. The protein that it recommends is low fat dairy, chicken, fish. It does usually recommend staying away from large amounts of like higher fat beef or pork. Not to say those are bad. You can choose. There's actually 8 lean cuts of beef and over 36 lean cuts of beef and over 8 lean cuts of pork. But this diet specifically says chicken, fish, low fat dairy, lots of fruits and vegetables. So it really focused on a lower fat diet as well as reducing sodium intake. And so it was increasing calcium and potassium, which both have been shown to help decrease blood pressure. And then it was decreasing sodium. So increasing things that could help blood pressure and decreasing things that could drive it up. And so the DASH diet is a very sustainable diet. It's lower in fat for sure, but it is sustainable because it's not really cutting out any food groups. It's just choosing, the lower fat versions in those food groups. The DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet are similar in that they recommend whole grains, fruits, vegetables. They recommend, healthy fats and lean protein. The difference really is the Mediterranean diet allows for more healthy fat, those mono and specific polyunsaturated fats or the omega-3 heart healthy fats, whereas DASH diet really was focused on minimizing or reducing fat and sodium intake. So similar in that they don't really take out whole food groups, but they do focus a little bit differently. Mediterranean diet probably a little bit easier to maintain, and we do know the benefit of those healthy fats. And so it just depends. Like if you have a heart health issue, maybe you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, combination of those, well, then the DASH diet might be a good approach to overall eating, and then making sure that you're including lean protein. Variety of studies, like just as a note, like while it recommends typically like chicken and fish, there are 2 research studies when you looking at putting beef in the DASH diet, so a lean cut of meat. And one was called the BOLD study. So it was beef in an optimal lean diet. And so they basically put 4 ounces of beef in the DASH diet. So 4 ounces of beef a day. And they actually found improvements in overall cholesterol, lowering bad cholesterol, increasing good cholesterol. And then they did the BOLD Plus, which put 5.3 ounces of lean beef in the DASH diet. And same thing, they saw the same results. So lower overall cholesterol and bad cholesterol, increase in good cholesterol. So when we start looking at some of these proteins that people really like, oftentimes we try to really take this whole plate approach, because if you're putting that protein in the DASH diet, that's high fruit, high vegetable, high fiber, all the things, you may not see it as if you were putting that same protein on a, bread with French fries and drinking a Coke with it. So just things to look at, and some of the research that supports that there are a variety of ways that some of these diets can be consumed as an eating pattern long-term.
So that makes so much sense. Finally, we've got carnivore.
Yes. So the carnivore diet, it's a definite high protein and high fat diet. The keto is real specific. It's like 50 to 70% fat, this much protein, very little carb. The carnivore diet is really just about focusing on like eating meat or eating protein. So it basically talks about eating like beef and pork and eggs and high fat dairy. So none, like minimizing lactose. So probably lower in yogurt and milk, higher in like cheese and butter and things of that nature. So it really focuses on protein and doesn't pay attention to fat. So you can start to see, if you were on here when we were talking about the keto diet, if not, you can rewatch, but problem, we're taking out all fiber, all fruit, all vegetables. So we're minimizing a lot of nutrients in the diet, as well as just a fiber standpoint. Now, many times you'll see people lose weight on this diet because protein and fat make you feel full. So they help you get full faster and stay full longer. So you can see if you were eating a high protein, maybe even high protein, higher fat diet, where you just may not be as hungry, which might cause you to take in less calories. This is what I like to remind people. Just because you lose weight doesn't mean you're healthy, though. Just because your body is losing weight doesn't mean that your arteries and your blood pressure and all the things are going well. So I think people have to really, when we think about this spring cleaning your diet, people really need to look overall, like, sure, I might have a body image or body composition or weight goal, but what is my health goal associated with that? And is what I'm doing going to create a health problem later on? Like, it makes me lose weight now, but I have high cholesterol later, or it makes me, lose weight now, but then I end up like binging off the restriction, ended up gaining weight. My experiences as a registered dietitian of 18 years will tell me that people that lose excessive amounts of weight on one type of diet, 9 times out of 10 gain that weight back, and probably then some. And so there's a real rebound effect, and that yo-yo dieting really can mess up your metabolism long-term if you're doing that. So when you think, about that spring cleaning your diet, a lot of people always think like, what do I have to take out? I'm going to argue, what could you put in? Like, what are some of the things that you could do? Maybe you eat a lot on the go and you could focus on eating more whole foods. I travel a lot for my business. We can't all eat whole foods all the time. I am not that dietitian. Like, there's got to be a protein bar sometimes. For the love, eat beef jerky. I mean, I do all the time in airports. But like, where you can eat yogurt and berries, do it. Where you can have string cheese and apple, fantastic. And so eating more whole foods and looking where you can include more produce. So just thinking through, we know that only 1 in 10 people eat the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables. So that means that 90% of us are not doing a very good job of that. So, where you're thinking about like, oh, what could I restrict out? Well, maybe you're just making some swaps. And if you normally eat half your plate as carbohydrate, maybe you're going to have a fourth of your plate as carbohydrate and you're going to add in veggies. So just thinking through what are some of those sustainable changes. And, if you thinking about the sustainability aspect, if you want to eat better, you should definitely probably look at stocking your fridge and your pantry with better for you, nutrient rich foods. If you want to, start exercising, think about where it's going to go in your day, put it on your calendar, so there's things that you can start to do. It's not the glamorous, like extreme things that people want to, but those typically don't result in long-term change. So the key for me is, if you're going to spring clean your diet, look for ways that you can take out maybe some of the junk that you might be taking in, but replace that with really nutrient-rich foods.
I love that. Amy, it is always such a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
You mentioned your website earlier with more. Please remind everyone of where they can find that, and additionally where they can follow you.
Yes, thank you. So my website, thesportsnutritionplaybook.com. We have a Go Green, 5 green foods. It's a little cheat sheet to add to your spring eating routine. And each one has a recipe idea, and they're not all boring foods. There are a few vegetables, but there's some that I think will surprise you. So thesportsnutritionplaybook.com. You can download it for free right there off the page. And I'm actually going to be doing a Ditch the Cleanse challenge in April. And you can find that on our website as well. And when you download the little cheat sheet, it will actually give you information about that, but it's got education, and you get on to our meal planning app for a month. We have a community chat for like support and questions. So it's really a way to kind of like dive in. We're going to talk about the truth about diets, cleanses, weight loss drugs, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, etc. So a much more in-depth version of this. So it's called Ditch the Cleanse, and there's information on it on that handout. And then I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. So my Instagram is amyg.rd, And if you're interested in sports nutrition, specifically sports nutrition, my website, my Instagram account, the Sports Nutrition Playbook. We post 5 days a week, all kinds of tips and strategies for fueling exercise, fueling young athletes as well. We work with a lot of those. So I would love to connect with you in both places, and then definitely check out the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. Get the cheat sheet for the 5 green foods, and then check out the Ditch the Cleanse Challenge. We're starting on April the 1st.
Fabulous. If you did tune in late and want to hear all of the extremely helpful tips and other information on these diets and cleanses that Amy shared during this live, this will live on our Instagram page at Eat This Not That. So please, right after this, watch from the beginning. It was so informative as always. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me, and everyone stay on track.
Yes, and happy spring to everyone.
Yes, happy spring.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.